Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we are covering MITRE. If you guys don't know, aren't familiar with this, you will be when we're done with this video. All right, it's early, so I'm trying to be a little bit more quiet. But let's go ahead and hop into it. If you guys aren't familiar with it, even if you are familiar with it, this is an interesting box because I actually didn't know everything they did. I knew most of what they did, but I didn't know everything, so it's kind of interesting. I actually learned a decent amount from this box, so I'm actually glad they covered everything they did. But without further ado, let's hop into it. If you guys are new to the channel and you like cybersecurity content, make sure you like, subscribe. It helps out a ton. We're on our road to 1,000. We're almost there, and I'm super excited for that. And at 1,000, I'll be giving away the other keylogger. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the attack framework, the CAR knowledge base, the shield, and then I think the shield actually has a different name now, and then the attack emulation plan. All right. So if you guys aren't familiar with MITRE, it's basically a framework, which just means a large information gathering, basically, of defensive techniques and knowledge and things like that. It's just a huge help to the community, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So before we start, you have to be familiar with a little bit of terminology. Most of you in this channel are already familiar with a lot of this. APT is Advanced Persistence Threat. We've already covered a lot of that. But this is more, MITRE is going to focus more on APTs and not just like little simple attacks that happen or maybe a 0-day that drops or something. They're going to focus on large scale attacks. Okay. So TTP is an acronym for Tactics, Techniques, and Procedures. What does it mean? The tactic is the adversary's goal. The technique is how the adversary achieves that goal, obviously. And the procedure is what they procedurally executed. All right. So it keeps popping up and saying it's expired. I haven't even started the machine yet, so just heads up if we have any issues, there may be an edit in there. So what is the attack framework? All right. According to the website, it's a globally accessible knowledge base of adversary attacks, tactics, and techniques. So it's real-world attacks that they record in a format that is, everyone can digest. That's basically what it is. It's taking techniques. So here we'll go right to the website. If you haven't done so, go to the website. And you can see it looks like a lot right off the bat, right? It looks like, Jesus, what's going on? But look at how easy this can actually be. So for initial access, 9 techniques. Now, is there more than 9 techniques realistically? Of course. But you notice they're broken into categories. So for instance, initial access, 9 techniques. We can click on phishing. And you can see right here, it's going to give you information of what phishing is, right? Then here's procedure examples. So this is actual examples, real world examples of what happened. And you notice they document ID numbers for these attacks and for the APTs. So the APTs are the attack teams, basically. We'll call it that. And you can see here's how to mitigate it. So here's things you can do to actually mitigate the phishing emails. Here's things you can do to detect it once it's happened. So you can really get specific in here, and you can really start taking a lot from this, especially if you're like a security engineer or something. And you're just like, I'm not really sure where our attack surface is, you can start looking at this and really going through it. I mean, there's a lot of information here. All right, so it says here, direct your attention to the bottom of the page to view the attack matrix for enterprise. Okay, so let's look at the bottom of the page, and here it is, attack matrix for enterprise. And you can see there's a lot to it. But keep in mind, they actually only have documented very few APTs currently, and that's because they're building this out still. All right, so let's get a better understanding of this technique. You click on it. We just did that, and then you can see the sub-techniques, and you can see they have specific IDs for each technique. That's very interesting because that means each technique is identified, cataloged, and associated with a APT. So that means theoretically you could go back and see how APTs in real world attacks happened exactly. Well, you'll see a tool that we actually use later here where they can simulate that on your system so you can see if that APT can attack you, which is pretty incredible, really. All right. So lastly, then the same data can be viewed by the MITRE Attack Navigator. The Attack Navigator is used for basic navigation. Where was it? we'll go back here. You can access Navigator view when visiting a group or tool page. Okay, so you got to click on the group, and then there will be navigation panels that you can go through. So this is just getting around on the website. You guys will want to mess around with the website. You don't want to just take my word for it. Only blue teamers will use attack matrix. That's not true. Red teamers should absolutely use these because there's a reason APTs are APTs, because they work. They're full teams of, nation state actors, hacktivists, whatever, that are very good at what they do. So why would you not? It's like watching Michael Jordan play basketball and being like, no. That's his style. I don't do that stuff. I only do layups. Like, it doesn't make sense. Why would you not copy them? Why would you not follow what they do? So what is the ID for this technique? So what technique are we looking for? To summarize, we can use the attack matrix. Okay, so start from the phishing page, okay? So one thing I will tell you guys, I found this out the hard way. I'm not going to make you find out the hard way. This page, if you click on phishing, I believe it's this one, it won't work. And here's why. Note that this link is for version 8. So if you click on the phishing link here, you get totally different information than if you click on the one here, because this is an old version of it. Okay? Current viewing attack 8.2, which was live between October and April 2021. So they're asking very specific, so we can close this one. They're asking very specific questions that are incorrect on the actual site now. This is an old version of the site, so keep that in mind. And I understand why they do that, because the site gets updated. So if it gets updated, this won't change because they have this older version of the site. So keep that in mind. That's why they do it. What is the ID for this technique? Well, let's look at it. All right, so we have phishing. We need the ID for it. There it is. ID T1566. Okay, so that's the ID for phishing on their site. Based on this technique, what mitigation covers identifying social engineering techniques? Okay, so what mitigation will actually cover this? So we can go down to mitigations. And if you remember on the regular site, on today's site, the detection had actual links that you could click on too. So we go down to mitigations and we look, it says users can be trained to identify social engineering attacks and phishing emails. User training. That's one of the mitigation techniques. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, yeah, I never would click on that link. That's because you grew up with the internet. People didn't before. I didn't grow up with the internet. So it really explains why people are having trouble with this nowadays, because people don't understand that everything could be an attack. They don't get that. They don't get that an email can come from your domain and still be an attack. People don't understand that don't work on computers. So keep that in mind. Also, user training is the number one way to prevent this. I know in companies that I've worked for in the past, we've used basically fake phishing emails that if you click on them, you get assigned training and stuff like that. This stuff works as long as you implement it properly. People won't care if you implement I'm waiting on people to come fix my air conditioner. But anyway, if people won't care if you make them do an hour-long video, they're not going to remember any of that. Do a quick, concise video. Or CBT or whatever, which is computer-based training. But if you do the right training, user training is by far the best thing you can do for phishing. Okay. There are other possible areas for detection for this technique, which occurs after what other technique. So I will say some of the questions in these are just like that one. That's just a tongue twister a little bit, but we'll go ahead and look at it. So it said here we go. So many possible detections of follow-on behavior may take place once user execution occurs. So you're looking for the wording. That's really the key. There are possible areas for detection which occurs after what other technique. Like that could be anything, right? But it's user execution. User execution, what they're saying by that is there are ways to detect phishing emails once a user executes something. So if a user clicks on that link or sends that email, now we can detect it, right? There's still ways to detect it before, but they're just saying that that's one of the main ways to detect it, because if you go to a malicious site, we might have that site blocked. Well, now it's logged and we know that you clicked on it. Now we can go back and see why did you click on it, and it's because you got an email from it. All right. So what group has used spear phishing in their campaigns? Now this is more than just them. Obviously, these are procedure examples. So you got Dragonfly. All right. Based on the information for this group, what are their associated groups? So this is where it gets cool. So you can start clicking on them. Oh, look at that. And they have a bunch of associated groups. Now, why would a group have multiple groups? Well, that's interesting because there's a couple of reasons. One, let's say you find this APT and you name it, or us as a community find it and say, let's name it Stuffy's APT, right? So we find it, whatever. Well, then China finds it, and China doesn't name it that; they name it something else. And then Spain finds it, and then the NSA finds it, and the NSA names it Dragonfly or whatever. That's one way that the same APT can have a bunch of different names. The other way would be, let's say Energetic Bear is one part of their group that does, SCADA systems. Iron Liberty does, all of their social media type stuff. Crouching Yeti does all of their, OSINT type stuff like that. Those are the different things that can happen too. So, all right. So what tool is attributed to this group to transfer tools or files from one host to another within a compromise? So how do they transfer files? So this is how specific you can really get in here. You can look at this group and say, I wonder what they use. Oh, look at that, lateral tool transfer. So they use ps-exec or PowerShell to go right to tool transfer. So that's interesting because that you would think they'd be more advanced, right? But that's such a good tool. Why wouldn't you, right? If the tool is on the machine already, there's no need for us to get crazy with it. There's no need for us to start throwing tools on stuff. All right, so based on the information about this tool, what group used a customized version of it? Okay, so now we click on here, and you notice we can deep dive. We can start really spitballing here and getting into a lot of different information. And you can see here, Fin5 uses a customized version of it. Interesting. Okay, so now based on the information, there it is, Fin5. This group has been activated since what year? So now we click on Fin5, and you notice there's so much information here, you could go all day. And you can see since at least 2008. All right, so instead of Mimikatz, what OS credential dumping tool does this group use? So we're looking for what tool. So here's techniques used, here's software used, right? And we're looking for one that has OS cred dumping, right there, OS cred dumping, Windows Credential Editor. Okay, so just in a matter of a minute or two, we've come through a lot of information, and we've really gathered, we could really go down and tell you exactly how those APTs did what and what they did and what they accessed and all that stuff. All right, so this is Cyber Analytics Repository. What's going on, guys? We're back. I had something in my eye. I couldn't freaking get it out. So anyway, so we're back on Cyber Analytics Repository. We're looking at the example they gave us here, which is the CAR 2020-09. It's a scheduled task job. So this is an actual technique that they're going to use, and they show kind of more detail about it than the actual attack framework. So what that means is they're going to show you exactly how it's done. So you can see here, files, it's going to search for 2 files in 2 locations. That's the files that people are going to create, and they're going to create a task. So it's very similar to cron jobs on Linux. When you create a task, let's say you have it run at midnight, you have a script run at midnight that gives you a reverse shell. Well, it's not going to get caught if you do it during the day. It might get caught because someone might notice something. Here, you can have it run whenever. You could have it run just once to check in every day at midnight, so that way it's not having all kinds of network traffic. There's all kinds of things you can do. But anyway, this is walking you through that, and then also how to defend it, which is huge. So like, for instance, here's the scheduled task. You can actually click on the technique, get some more information. Here's some of the different tactics people use with that technique. And then from here, the defend technique. This is a way to defend it, file creation analysis. So analyze when files are created to see what they're created for. Are they scheduled tasks, etc. And then here's something that's really cool. So this is Splunk's pseudocode. So this means you could take this code right here, insert it into Splunk on your network, and scan for Windows tasks files, Windows tasks scheduled tasks, files. So what that means is you could theoretically right now, Splunk is free, so you can download Splunk, use this code, and you could find any scheduled task on any computer right now. So think of how big of an impact this one page on this site has. If you're ever worried about scheduled tasks on your network, even as a large company, you can now defend it right here, right now. I mean, that's pretty incredible, pretty powerful. So think of it that way. Okay, so for the above analytics, what is the pseudocode representation of? And that's Splunk. We just talked about it. Here it is, and it says Splunk. So Splunk search is what it's pseudocode for. Now, what tactic has an ID of TA0003? And we go back here, and you notice there's 3 tactics. So we go to execution. Nope, that's TA002. Okay, so that's the wrong one. Persistence is, there it is, TA0003. So there is your answer. It's TA0003 is persistence. Now, what is the name of the library that is a collection of Zeek or Bro scripts? So this one actually requires you to go back to the main page. So if you go here, and you can do Control F and type Zeek, which is what I did. You can see at the bottom, it says Bazaar is a collection of Zeek or Bro scripts. So Bazaar, B-Z-A-R, that is a collection of Zeek or Bro scripts. All right, so what is the name of the technique for running executables with the same hash but different names? So we go back here, and we'll go back, and this one, so they're just trying to get you to traverse the site. So if you look at the hints, they give you a little bit of, I guess, a hint, right? So check the full analytic list. So we go back here, and we look at, we can get rid of the Zeek, and we're looking at analytics. We're going to look at the full list, right? Now, let's see, we want analytics by technique probably, right? Since we're looking for a technique. Okay, what is the name of the technique for running executables with the same hash and different names? So we can go through here and kind of look at what are the techniques, and then there's sub-techniques, right? So one of the techniques we're looking for here we go. Masquerading. If you look at it through the sub-techniques and then the car analytics, it actually says here, running executables with the same hash and different names. So masquerading, because it's a tier system, masquerading is the parent, and these are the children. Masquerading is the technique. Okay, so examine CAR 2013-0504. What additional information is provided to analysts to ensure coverage for this technique? Okay, so we're looking for CAR 2013-0504. And I wonder if it just gives us the, nope, it doesn't. I thought it was going to give us the actual thing, but we'll go to analytics. All right, and we're looking for 0504 in 2013. So the nice thing is we can just go down here, 2013-0504. That's what they said, right? 2013-0504. Perfect. And then we already got the hint. It said to go to the bottom. And it said here, what additional information is provided to analysts? So this is something that wasn't on the other page. This unit tests. So what is this? Configuration Windows 7. It literally tells you how to test for this. Think of how incredible that is. If you're worried about this specific attack, let's say you have something that you know this attack covers, like this attack can take advantage of. They give you an exact method of testing. Now I get it. This is Windows 7. I get it. But that's not the point. The point is they're giving you ways to search for it, and then here they're giving you a specific way to test for it. I mean, they're really giving you a lot of information because someone's got to input all this information and categorize it and use the SQL database and figure all this out. So it's pretty impressive. All right, so examine CAR 2013-0504 and its unit tests, okay? All right, so now we're on to Shield Active Defense. This is its own tool. So while I start the machine, I'm going to tell you guys about today's sponsor. Today's sponsor, again, is Manscaped. I actually have used their nose hair trimmer now. I use their lawnmower. And I got to say, this thing was actually, I've never used a nose hair trimmer, and it was a way easier to use than I thought, and it actually it wasn't uncomfortable or anything. I was kind of nervous because I've never used one, and I actually really liked it. It's called the Weed Whacker. If you use code Stuffy24 at checkout, you do get 20% off and free shipping. So it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Because not only are you going to get the 20% off, but you get the free shipping. The free shipping is huge because, like, when they sent me, I got the whole package, the deluxe, the ultimate bundle. So I got like the bag, the boxers, the shirt, the trimmer, the nose hair trimmer, all that stuff. If you send all that, that shipping's gonna get expensive. It's pretty heavy. So I personally would recommend it. I'd recommend it for anybody, women, men. I know it's a men's product, but at the same time, fun fact, actually, I think it's 75, or I think it was 85% of partners think that you should be groomed down there. So it's a win-win. I'm just saying, if you're not getting any, you might want to take a gander down there and say, hey, I might need to, figure some stuff out. That's all I'm saying. So let's get back into it, guys. All right. So this is, okay. So MITRE Engage has replaced MITRE Shield. So we're actually looking at an old product, but Engage and Shield are same concept, newer version, right? So even though MITRE Shield was retired, MITRE Shield archived on GitHub if anyone wants to keep using it. So if you want to keep using it, you can, because it's archived on GitHub. You can go on there and get it. Okay, so you can see it tells you this is something you guys will have to do on this box. You have to run this. It gives you the command. Pretty simple, pretty easy. All right, and then here we're going to walk through it, but the U.S. Department of Defense defines active defense as employment-limited offensive action. Okay, so what is MITRE Shield? It's a way to actively defend. What that means is employment of limited offensive action and counterattacks. So what does MITRE Shield do? It's a really cool tool that allows you to actively defend, meaning create honeypots, create fake accounts, create things that are easy for an attacker to grab, and then monitor them so that you can see what an attacker is trying to do, when they're trying to do it, and you can kind of waste their time in a sense, but also be ready for when they do attack. Because what attackers are going to do is they're going to start picking low-hanging fruit, and when they do that, if you're monitoring, you can say, oh, they're trying to get credentials. Okay, let's really buckle down on our credentials. You can say, oh, they're trying to get into our DMZ. All right, let's really lock down our firewalls. Et cetera, et cetera. So there's some really good tactics and techniques you can use here. So, of course, it's not going to load now. We'll see what happens. We'll exit split view and then open it back up. Let's see if that does anything. Okay, so we're in. Okay, so what shield technique has the most tactics? Well, first we've got to start it up. So let's go ahead and start her up. All right, and it tells you right there that you need to go. I thought it told you where you need to go. Oh, yeah, you do. So you need to go desktop. We're already in desktop, MITRE. All right, and then we'll bundle, exec, Jekyll, serve. Now, when that runs, then we'll have an actual website that you can navigate easily and start doing active defense. Now, this sounds kind of not insane, but it doesn't make sense, right? Actively defend. It's kind of like being a pen tester, right? It doesn't make sense. You're offensive, but you're defending but you have to be offensive to defend sometimes. And that's what active defense is it's using somewhat offensive techniques because, for instance, here's one, decoy credentials. Create user credentials that are used for active defense purposes. So you're creating credentials that purposely have no rights, really, and are easy to guess, because then you're going to see when an attacker starts trying to guess passwords, because he might get that one, right? But so let's say you have a decoy credential named admin, just a fake admin account, right? So you have this fake admin account, and then you go and you make the password. And you do this on purpose because you want an attacker to get a hold of it. It has no rights. It's not an admin account, right? It's a little bit of a risk because you're allowing an attacker in. But let's say you don't let anyone log in on that account, and all of a sudden you get an alert, hey, someone logged into the admin account. Okay, well, you know that wasn't anyone on your team because they know what it's for. So clearly someone is trying to attack you. Well, now you have kind of an early warning system of someone's guessing your passwords. So think of it that way. All right, so we're going to go 127.0.0.1, and it's on port 4000. And, of course, And I will tell you this VM is very slow. Okay, so that's fine. I don't need a HTTPS connection if that's what it is. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and maximize this bad boy. So what is active defense? Blah, blah, blah. We've already done all that, right? Now keep in mind, this is all being replaced with a better system. So what shield tactic has the most techniques? So you can go here and you could figure it out just by doing this, just clicking. And this one says techniques, boom, boom, boom. And you can see whatever. Now you can just go through these and actually look if you want to and see which one has the most. But it's detect. It has the most techniques. So is the technique decoy credentials listed under the tactic? So is decoy credentials under detect? And there it is, decoy credentials. So yes, it is. So you can read some of these. Some of these are cool. Behavioral analytics, deploy tools that detect unusual systems or user behavior. Now, I use behavior analytics all the time at work, and I will tell you guys, you will get a ton of alerts until this gets refined. I mean, a ton, if you have a large system, because it doesn't know what's normal behavior yet. It has to learn that. Okay, so explore DTE 0011, which is decoy content right here. What is the ID where a defender can plant artifacts on a system to make it look like a virtual machine? So this is interesting. So some attackers will target virtual machines, or some attackers will stay away from virtual machines. It just all depends on what their goals are and what they're trying to do. So when that happens, look at this. You can put this on there. So we're looking for DUC 0234, but if you scroll down, you'd find this by yourself. You're just looking for the right wording right there. A defender can plant files, registry entries, software processes to make the system look like a VM. So some attackers won't go mess with VMs because they're much harder to attack, right? So when that happens, you could theoretically make a lot of your systems, your important systems, look like VMs, so defenders don't easily just grab a hold of them. So I mean, look at all the different things you can do. It's incredible. A defender can use decoy content to give false impression about the system. So let's say you have a Windows system. You can use decoy content to make them think it's a Linux system. And then their techniques are going to be totally useless, right? There's all kinds of stuff. Now, if they're a good attacker, they'll eventually figure it out, obviously. But you know what I mean? It's just incredible. Okay, so based on the above use case, what is the attack technique mapping? So based on this right here, so if we go to the hint, check the complete mapping. So you go to attack mapping and you go to complete mapping. And I will say you'll probably need some hints, or else you'll just be searching around the site forever. So because they want specific questions. So based on the above use case, what is the attack technique mapping? So based on this, planning virtual machines, you can scroll down to T1497, or you could just Control F the VM, which is what I did initially. Let's see, but I don't think we'll have to do that here because we already know which one we're looking for, but it's still looking like it's taking forever. So I just went VM. Okay, so that's not the right one. There's the next one. So here we go. There's an opportunity to seed decoy content to make non-virtual systems, and that's exactly what it's doing. Based on the above use case, the attack technique is mapping this technique, T1497. And that is actually telling you the exact same thing we just did, but it's breaking it down and putting it into a whole technique. Okay, and this is all stuff that you can deploy using this right here, this tool that they are replacing with Engage. So Engage is going to be the new one, so look for that one if you want, or you can use the old one. So now, continuing from the previous question, look at the information from the attack technique. Okay, so let's look at it. What two programs are listed that adversaries will check for? So if we click on this, if it loads, so it is taking forever. So what we'll probably have to do, and I think it tells you up here, is that you might have to look outside of the actual whatchamacallit, but we'll go back to the website. Okay, and then we will look for it there. Continuing from the previous question, look at the information for the attack technique. What 2 programs are listed that adversaries will check for? Okay, so if we go back here and we go to technique, we can go to tactics, doesn't really matter. And we know T1497. So let's go ahead and search for because this is clearly not loading. T1497 virtualization sandbox evasion. So okay, this froze on me. We can get rid of that. There we go. Virtualization sandbox evasion. So we click on it, and now you can see going through here, it's going to start breaking it down for you. So you can see how the sites actually link together in a sense. Now, if this wasn't in a closed off sandbox, you would be able to actually click on that and then it would take you to it, but we can't do that here. So now mitigations, processes, and we're looking for what tools is it going to look for. That's basically what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and look. Those are procedural examples. Here we go. Adversaries may use several methods to accomplish the virtual sandbox evasion, such as checking for security monitoring tools. There you go, such as sysinternals and Wireshark. So right there, there's your answer, program 1 and program 2. So they wanted you to go outside of here just to see it. Okay, that's what they wanted you to get familiar with, seeing a technique over here that you might implement, and then actually breaking it down and looking at it. All right, so that should be done with that. All right, let's go to attack emulation plans. All right, if these tools provided to us by MITRE are not enough, under MITRE Ingenuity, so let's go ahead and open that up. We have CTID, the adversary emulation library. This is cool. So, oh yeah, this takes you to the, basically, here's what you want. This is a cool tool. So look at it. It's a library, literally, right? So what it does, that right now they only have 3 APTs in here, I believe is what it was. But like, let's say you go to APT 29, emulation plan. Look at this. This is incredible. They have the breakdown of the exact attacks that this APT does. And not only the exact attacks, but look at this. Where is it? Now, I haven't looked at this one. Here we go. Day 1, day 2, and they give you the actual attack, how to do it, what tools, everything. So you go to day 1, and look at this, steps 1 through 10. They literally tell you targets, red team systems. They give you a play-by-play how to implement the exact attacks. Now, why do they do this? Because what if that APT attacks you? You need to know if you can withstand it. So if someone comes to you and goes, hey, APT 29 is getting a little carried away, can we defend it? You can literally say, yes, we can, 100%. How do I know that? Because I just did the attack to our system yesterday and we defended it, right? So think of it that way. So how many phases does APT3 emulation plan consist of? So we'll go to APT3 emulation plan, and there's 3 phases. You can see that there, 3. So under persistence, what binary was replaced with command? All right, so we need to actually go to the emulation plan to look at it. All right, so and you can see there's a lot to it here as far as the actual, here we go, tools. Okay, so tools name, and we're looking for, what was it? Under persistence, what binary was replaced with command.exe? So we may find it in here. We may have to actually go to the GitHub page, but we'll look. Yeah, let's go to the GitHub page. I like that a little bit better. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. There we go. And we can go here. Is that the same one? Gosh dang it. Here we go. Nope, I don't want to download it. Okay, so it's driving me nuts. I know I went to the GitHub page before. Let's see what the hint is. Here we go. That's why. No, this is the PDF. Maybe I did and didn't even notice it. That was in here. Okay, let's just go back through it. Under persistence, what binary is replaced with command. So we're looking for what binary is replaced with command. So we need to go to tools for sure. Okay, operates similar to ps-exec, and we're looking for sethc.exe is what we're looking for. And it looks like it tells you they're custom if you see them. Interesting. I don't see it in here. Let's do this. Sec Z? Is that what it was? Seth C. I'm sorry. There we go. So if you do this enough, which is kind of a pain. So here it is. Seth apt3 has replaced the sticky keys binary windows with system32 sethc.exe with command.exe. So what you could have done, you could have just searched command.exe in this file, and let's see how many results you would have gotten. And I think that's what I did the first time. I just couldn't remember. All right, so we got 14. So we go through, and no, there's command.exe, and there it is. So you would have gotten it eventually. It's just a little bit longer, and I'm trying to make it quick, which that took forever. Okay, so examining APT29, that's the one I went to the GitHub. Okay, that's why I was confused there for a little bit. Okay, didn't mean to open that in a new window, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and close that and open it in a new tab. Okay, examining what two tools were used to execute the first scenario. This one's pretty cool. So if we go through the first scenario, and you can see they have the same thing, like attack layer, scenario 1, you know. So we go through scenario 1, and we look for what tools they used. Well, we can see right here they're using Puppy for sure. So Puppy's their C2 server, which is a good C2 server. And then from here, well, I see MSF, so they're already using Metasploit. So I'd say Puppy and Metasploit, and there you go. There's the first two tools, is Puppy and Metasploit. If you're not familiar, Puppy is a C2 server. Metasploit is obviously an exploitation framework. We've all used Metasploit. So what tool is used to execute the second scenario? So now we got to go back, and we got to go to scenario 2, and look what tools they used here. All right. Let's see if we see it. And I'm just doing a quick glance. I'm not seeing it yet, but I'm sure it's here. Now there are some things that I thought might be tools that they didn't really count, so just keep that in mind. What is it? Posh C2? Okay. So I didn't even see Posh in here, did you? Maybe I missed it. Maybe it was at the beginning. They did say 2, right? I'm not tripping. Okay. I must be tripping. I don't even see Posh in here. Let's see. What's it say? What tool was used to execute the second scenario? Okay, so scenario 2, APT29. We're on the right one. Oh, it's right there. Posh Spy. Okay, so I'm dumb. Okay, so yeah, they used Posh, and you can see here, Power Duke, phishing campaign, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so yeah, so they used Posh, which if you look here, the tool is Posh Spy, but the suite of tools is Posh C2, another C2 server. So the answer is Posh C2. I don't know why that took me so long to find. I got those two mixed up. I thought the other one was the GitHub page, and that one was, I got them mixed up, whatever. Okay, so threat intelligence or cyber intelligence is the information or TTPs attributed to the adversary. So again, it's more information. By using threat intelligence as defenders, we can make better decisions. So what does that mean? It means that from here, we can make smarter decisions if we know what they're trying to do. If we have more information, we can make smarter decisions. That's pretty much what it is. All right, so here's your scenario, right? All right, so You are a security analyst who works in the aviation sector. Okay, your organization is moving their infrastructure to the cloud. Your goal is to use the attack matrix to gather information. Okay, so we need the attack matrix. So let's go back here. Let's get the attack matrix open. And this is cool. They give us an actual scenario. This is where you've got to figure out, what you can do. So as a group that targets your sector who has been operation since at least 2013. So we need to look for groups. So let's go to groups. And then here we'll type aviation because we're looking for someone in the aviation sector. And I'm not sure why this site takes so long, probably because the database is huge. Okay, so we have aviation. Here's one, att-ck. Let's see, is a suspected Iranian group that has carried out operations since 2013. So there you go. So just a quick search. Does this group use Stuxnet? Now here, I didn't go through the whole thing. I just Control F and I did Stuxnet. I didn't find anything. So there I said, okay, no, and then that was right. So as your organization is migrating to the cloud, is there anything attributed to this APT group that you should focus on? If so, what is it? So we're looking for cloud issues, right? So let's go through here and let's see, is there anything that they focus on with cloud base that's alarming, that we need to worry about, right? Right there, cloud accounts. Okay, so they've compromised Office 365 accounts to gain control of endpoints. So we need to be worried about the cloud accounts, specifically 365 accounts. Okay, so what tools associated with this technique? And it tells you right here that it's ruler with ruler. So we go ahead and add ruler. Per the detection tip, what should you be detecting? Excuse me. So the detection tip, so if we go on right here, now we look for the detection tip. Monitor for suspicious account behavior access. Okay, so abnormal or malicious behavior. So this is another question I don't like because it could be a lot of this stuff. It could be behavior across the cloud services, abnormal behavior, whatever. But they really are specific with it. They want you to say abnormal or malicious behavior. I don't know. I don't really like the question. I think the question should be a definitive answer, not something that could be multiple things because people will scramble and search. But all right, what platforms does this affect? And you can see if you go through platforms, Azure AD, Google Workspace, LAAS, Office 365, and SaaS. So it's going to affect a lot, basically. Software as a service, Office 365, just everything. All right, so in this room, we explore tools, resources MITRE has provided. Now, keep in mind, this is not an all-inclusive room. You could go all day long. This is just to show you and introduce you to what all MITRE does, because a lot of people don't even realize everything they offer and everything that you can gather from them, especially defensively. So this is a cyber defense path that we're on. This is a defensive machine, I will say, or framework that you can use to really hone your skills and secure your network. So let me know if you guys have any questions, put them in the comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. This is a really knowledge intensive video, meaning there's so much to cover and just not enough time. If you guys do have any questions, make sure you support. I do have the Patreon link below, and that Patreon does give you access to one-on-ones with me where we can cover more information like this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and have a good day.